It is finally time for 2026. Spent quite a bit of time in the off season moving some pieces around. Let's take a look at our budget. Our salaries are coming in at 121 million, which is a little high, but it's high for now because there are a lot of pieces of this puzzle that are most likely going to get traded. Let's start with Ha-Sung Kim. Hopefully he has a good year. He's going to be traded, almost guaranteed. Boz, Pepio, and Bradley, any one of those three might get traded or might get extended. They've got plenty of time left of arbitration before they become a free agent, so not super likely. Yandy Diaz is likely to get traded along with Brandon Lau. I'm not sure about Rasmussen. He's a guy I might want to keep, but Pete Fairbanks, Christopher Morel, Clevenger, a lot of these guys could get traded throughout this year. And so it's going to be a busy season in terms of moves. I would expect our payroll to come down below 100 million, maybe even below 90 or possibly 80 million by the time we make all these moves. It's going to be another rebuilding year and setting up for a very successful future. One guy who's not going to get moved is Shane McClanahan. He was the one piece that we really extended out into the future, and he's going to be along with us for the ride. So his contract definitely stands out amongst these others in terms of length. Looking at our rotation, McClanahan, of course, is going to be our ace. Pepio, Bradley, and Boz are all going to be solid pieces. I think those four guys are actually going to be pretty good, especially based on what we saw last year. Joe Boyle, we're going to hope he continues to develop. The walks per 9 is concerning, but he's on a renewable contract. Drew Rasmussen is going to be our long reliever. In real life, he starts, and he's the ace of the real Rays. He doesn't have the stamina in this game, or in franchise at least, to really start, so he's going to be our long reliever who will probably need to come in when Joe Boyle blows up. As far as the rest of our bullpen, Fayedo, Wantz, Rodriguez, our free agent, Barucki, Clevenger, Fairbanks, and Uceda. So it's a decent bullpen, but it's not going to really be in the upper echelons of the league, despite a few good pieces in there. And then looking at our lineup. So again, this is probably going to look very different come the trade deadline. But to start the year, Kim, Lau. Actually, to start the year, Kim, Lowe, Diaz, Lau, Caminero, Morel, McCann, Aranda, and DeLuca in that order. Caminero is a guy that I'm really going to have my eyes on this year. How will he develop? He's 22 years old. I'm expecting him to really continue to grow this year and be a potential long-term piece. Morel is another interesting one. He's only 26. He is in arbitration. We did pay him $3.5 million this year. The defense is really concerning besides his arm. He seems like more of a DH piece. But we do have him hiding out there in left field for now. McCann was our fill-in for catcher for this year. And then Aranda's another guy who might develop. Looks like he could be okay against righties. We'll have to see. And we've got our bench versus lefties. Pretty similar, except Aranda comes out because he cannot hit lefties. And that is really what we're going into this year. As I mentioned, this team is probably going to look very different come the trade deadline. We've got a couple pieces in our prospects. I'll show you where they are at. Pyle, our pitcher from the last year's draft, it looks very promising. He's going to start in Double-A along with Beck, who we took in the last draft. Carson Williams is going to stay in Double-A for now. Really hope that we can see some offensive improvement from him to where he could be serviceable in the MLB. If he can get the contact and vision discipline all above 60, I think he could be a good option, and then we'll see what happens with the power. Nalo could very well come up this year. This was our first-round draft pick last year. he could very well end up coming up this year. I wouldn't mind giving him a year to develop. That's why we re-signed Josh Lowe. Jimenez, our closer, is going to start in Double-A. And then Colt Emerson, who we got in a trade piece, I believe it was from the Mariners, is going to be in Double-A. Fredrickson, another pitcher we took last year, is going to be in Double-A. And that's really the main pieces. Moises Ballesteros is going to be in Double-A, but he's not too far from the show for catcher, especially because we're on a one-year deal with both of our catchers. So could see him in the majors next year, but we needed him in Double-A for now. So that's what we're looking at heading into the season. I hope we're going to be pretty bad and get even worse at the trade deadline and tank for a good draft pick. And then after this year, I would say things are going to start to look up for the Tampa Bay Rays. It is opening day 2026, and our ace McClanahan is back on the hill and starts the season off with a strikeout as we take on the Blue Jays. Opening day was pretty uneventful, but just talking about McClanahan, we gave him the largest contract in Rays history, and he gets a pop out there of McKinstry, 2 down. Santander steps in, and McClanahan strikes him out with a curveball. The most exciting part of opening day is about to happen right here in the bottom of the 4th. Josh Lowe hits a 2-run homer. And following that up, Yandy Diaz goes back-to-back with a solo shot. But what's better than back-to-back? How about 3 in a row? Brandon Lau extends our lead to 4-0. And the Rays would go on to close out this game as Andrew Wantz comes in. And that's about it for opening day. Pretty uneventful, but a good start to the season. First week of scouting, we are 4-5. Somehow leading the division. Blue Jays and the Red Sox off to a really rough start. Our scouting strategy is going to be pretty similar this year. We're going to be looking for the best position players that we can find, as well as doing a lot of discovery for pitchers, sprinkling in some relievers. Hopefully we can get a couple more position player prospects this time around, but the pitchers always tend to be really good trade pieces like we saw last year. So that's really our plan. I probably won't show quite as much of the scouting process, just keep you updated on any big discovery finds or who we might want to take towards the top of the draft. We've got the number 9 pick. That's really about it as we head into the scouting part of 2026. About 2 months into the season, we are really, really bad, which is really, really good for the long-term outlook of this rebuild. We are 18-41, which is just, I mean, I knew we were going to be bad, but we are really bad. The one positive we can take away is some of the guys in our rotation. McClanahan continues to pitch very well and develop, and he's on our long-term guy. So that makes me feel good about that decision. Pepio has not pitched as well, although he continues to improve. He's not pitched as well as he has in the past. Taj Bradley's been decent. Shane Baz has really been the standout pitcher this year. He's got a 2.33 ERA, having a fantastic first couple months of the season, despite his win-loss record. Rasmussen's been really good. I expected him to bounce back. That's good to see. Faedo's been good. Want's okay. Rodriguez okay. Barucki's been good. That worked out well. Clevenger also. So our lefties are pretty strong. Fairbanks has been awful. I really went into this year wanting to trade him. He has been really bad. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. And then Uceda's been really good. So that's kind of on the pitching side. As far as our lineup, there is just really not many bright spots at all. Yandy Diaz has been okay. He's bounced back a little bit from last year. He's looking a little bit more like himself. Lau's been okay, continues to develop. He started off really bad. He's turned things around. 765 OPS, up to 1 WAR. So there might be some value in moving on from Brandon Lau. Camanero's only been okay. He is continuing to develop. He's hit 8 home runs. He's not getting on base to the level that I really would like him to be. I was just flipping over and looking. I mean, his vision's decent. His discipline's not great. But, he continues to develop. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully things go well with Caminero. Morel's been okay. He's slugging a little bit, which is good. He's got 12 homers. McKinn, he's really regressing, so just trying to get through the year with him. Aranda has not seen much development at all, which is unfortunate. And that's really what we've got on the squad here. It's rough, and so we are so bad. There is nothing to redeem here. There is no saving this, and this is by design. So I'm gonna explore pretty soon here some trade options, because we really can't get much worse than this. So we might as well just tank all the way into the ground, and it's gonna make the comeback even that much more exciting. One positive piece of 2026 so far is Graham Williamson. Looks like a fantastic, very well-rounded catcher. I know we did get a prospect last year at catcher, but Williamson could really be a stud. He's moved up the board significantly. We've got the number 9 pick, and if he is there, he is going to be my number 1 pick. Other options include Brian Kidd, pitcher. He looks really good. The only thing is I don't love taking a pitcher first round. Same with Chen. Really goes for all of the starters up there. Gage McGowan looks really, really exciting. He's got guaranteed high A potential, and he just looks like he's going to be a really good all-around pitcher. As far as other position guys, Zach Glenn could be decent for us in center field. He is going to play good defense, run the base as well, steal a lot of bags, and pretty good contact. Looks like he's going to hit lefties especially. Well, I guess lefties and righties both pretty well. No power, but a good center field option. Other potential first-rounder for us is another center fielder, Roberto Lantuga, just kind of a worse version with a little more power from the previous center fielder. That's really our options at the top of the board. And I'm just flipping through to see if there was anybody I missed. Raymond DaCosta went down the board. It was a very strong outfield class, but we'll just have to see how it works out when it comes to draft time. So I'm going to continue scouting, continue discovering. Hopefully we can have a great draft. The time has come to move on from Brandon Lau. He's had a pretty good year. Nothing too special. A little bit below his average, to be honest. But we're not competing. And as much as it pains me as a real-life Rays fan to move on from one of our franchise players, we are just in full tank mode. So the Rockies, first of all, they are looking for relief pitcher and second baseman. I'm going to package in Nathan Lavender on the relief pitcher side, but the main piece is Brandon Lau for them at second base. And in return, I'm looking for Charlie Condon, a outfield prospect. Probably would end up moving him to left or potentially even to first base. But he's got a lot of room for growth. He is going to be cheap for a while. We can let him work in the minor leagues. So, Rockies, thank you. Brandon, best of luck. Also time to move on from Ha-Sung Kim. He's expensive. We don't need him. And the Dodgers, unfortunately, the Death Star, could use him. Yes, they're looking for third base and second base, and Ha-Sung Kim can play both third base and second base, so he fills a role they're looking for. And partially because it's funny, but also partially because we will need a second baseman now that we've lost Brandon Lau. And we do need a little bit more time for Emerson to develop. And I don't know if Aranda's ever quite going to develop. So it would be good to have Ha-Sung Kim in here for a couple of years at $4 million. And we're also going to kill two birds with one stone because, unfortunately, Moises Ballesteros, who we traded for last year, his potential has gone down, and I'm not super confident in his success. So catcher is very important for the Rays. We've never had a franchise catcher. And the Dodgers have Will Smith locked down for a long time, until 2032. So they don't really need Dalton Rushing, and I would like to have him to let him continue to develop and be hopefully a fairly long-term catcher if we aren't able to get one otherwise. So this is going to be the deal. Hopefully that works out well for us. With those recent roster moves, we officially have one of the worst MLB rosters I think you could really field, at least in terms of overall in this game. I've moved Jose Caballero, the super utility player, over to shortstop in Ha-Sung Kim's place. Ha-Sung Kim is coming in to play second base to replace Brandon Lau. I mean, if we win 50 games this year, that might be good. But at least we're going to get a really good draft pick. And, oh, by the way, I still haven't moved off of Yandy Diaz, who I'm probably going to trade at some point. It is time for the 2026 MLB draft, the second draft of our rebuild. And honestly, I don't feel great going into this draft. I didn't show as much of the scouting process this time around. Did not have as much success on discovery. Don't feel too great about much else besides the first couple of rounds. So just to walk through the few guys that I'm looking at, although we did just pick up Dalton Rushing from the Dodgers, the number one position player on my board is catcher Graham Williamson, who is 18 with high potential, rose up our board, extremely well-balanced player. I mean, he looks like he's going to have mid-70s to 80s in every attribute, and if he came in the high potential range, in those 90s, he could be really good, and that could give us some flexibility with him and rushing. Catchers are super valuable. So he's up top of my draft. There are a few other good options as well. Richie Paulbicki. As I mentioned in the last draft, our position player scout, I mean, there's literally no scout available for some reason in this version of franchise that has a combination of 90 or better efficiency and 90 or better position player scouting. So I can't spend 3 weeks on anybody. So I only got 85% in on Paulbicki, but I'm very confident that he would be a great third baseman. Realistically, although his defense looks really good, we may have to switch him to third base or first base because we have so many third basemen. So he's a good option. Love the bat. Zach Glenn is another option here, a defensive center fielder who's got really good contact, probably going to get on base at an okay clip. His discipline's a little low, but he's going to play very good defense, steal a lot of bases, could be a really good center fielder for us. Then we have Marcus Marquez, who rose up the board a lot. And if the other guys are gone, I could take him in the first round. But he's ranked 52, and our second pick, I believe, is 47. So maybe we could get lucky and he would fall, but that's another option. And then we have Roberto Lantigua, who is similar to Glenn. Glenn has a little higher potential range, but a similar type of build, good contact, a little bit more power. Looks like he'd be an okay hitter, probably a 700 OPS guy, but really his defense and speed is going to be elite, which is very good for center field. And that's kind of a cornerstone position. Now, those are our position players. There are a ton of good pitcher options, starting with Brian Kidd. I love this dude's name. Kidd, Kydd. 18-year-old pitcher. He is the number one guy on our board, and he's got, looks like he'll have high walks per nine and high stamina, as well as pretty good hits per nine. He has a complete bag of pitches. Nothing's overly hard. He doesn't throw anything overly hard, but he looks like he's going to have a good curveball and a good changeup, which is fun. He's another good option. I would love if there's some way that he could fall to round two, with him being ranked 58th. Vincent Chen is ranked 2. Also looks unbelievable. 18 years old, super high potential. He could even be better than Kidd, even though there was 1 and 2. They put Kidd up above him. He probably would not last till the second round. So if I do end up taking a pitcher first round, it would probably be Vincent Chen. Only thing with him is he's got a good mix of pitches, but he does not throw hard. But he looks like he's going to have an elite changeup. So almost a little bit of like a Michael Wacha or a Kyle Hendricks type of guy. He's not going to throw hard, but probably going to have good control. You can see there he's got elite control. So not bad at all. And then there's just another guy, Antone Diaz. It's really a pitcher-heavy draft. I won't take you through everybody here, but there are a lot of good options for pitcher. And as we get further down the board, more and more pitchers, some guys that I hope might fall. Gage McGowan looks unbelievable. You would look at this and say guaranteed high A potential. But if you look in the bottom left, he is injured. So, yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough yet with the franchise to really risk taking an injured player. But he's on my board. And then we have a couple discovery guys for later round. We do have a discovery first baseman who I did not finish scouting and could end up being really bad, but we may take a swing at him late. And then I tried to scout a few relievers, but nobody really jumped up my board. So I don't feel super confident going into this draft, but I'm hoping we can get maybe 2 good players, and let's just see what happens. Hoping for the best. We'll just have to see. Chris Price is going to go first. He looked really good, but I had a feeling he would not fall to us. I did not scout him. Cletus Washington, did not scout him. Same reason. And the number 3 pick is Xavier Hurd. So good. I'm glad I didn't scout any of those guys that were at the top of the board because they have all gone. So let's see who takes who here. Evan Brandt is going to go fourth. I did not scout him. Starting pitcher. Honestly, the more pitchers we can get off the board here in the first few picks, the better. Marcus Marquez is off the board. Talked about him. Wow, he did not fall to round 2. Not even close. Barack Blankenship, did not look at him. He looks like he could be really good. Second base. Blaze Franska, glad, like I said, more and more pitchers we can take off the board early, the better. And Antonio Rubio goes. So that leaves us with a few very good options, and I really think the best bet is going to be Graham Williamson. Uh, Paul Bickey looks like he's going to be really good, but I mentioned before, third base is not a priority. Zach Glenn could be a decent option, and so could Lantigua, but with the high potential that Williamson has, very balanced looking player. Yeah, we'll draft Williamson, and him and Dalton Rushing will compete for the catcher spot. Let's go ahead and sim to the next pick. And here we go with our the board already is going to start to get thin. So we've got our discovery pitchers that we can come back around to, as well as Quentin Ritter, discovery first baseman. I mean, look at this. Our board was pretty much shattered. I really struggled with the scouting this time around. Let me see if there's anybody that I might have missed along the way here. Ordonez might end up being. We might be going discovery pitcher round 2, which is not great. Yeah, a couple of good guys that I scouted end up being injured. I feel like I don't see that as often as I did here. I think our best bet is to just start going for some of these pitchers, and hope that we have a little bit of success here. We'll probably go for Ritter in a later round, but yeah, for now I'm gonna go with Rico Diaz. And it looks like nobody really came off the board here. We're still in pick 68. Do I want to just... It seems really risky. I mean, do I just want to randomly pick somebody? I don't really think so. I'm sure there's a handful of guys in here that would end up being decent. I mean, look at this. Another guy injured. He has that potential range that you're really looking for a later round pick, and he's injured. And there was a lot of good third basemen. I mean, it was just a difficult draft a difficult prospect list for us. Let's go with Frank Ordonez here, and let's see how things go here. Okay, so we've still got a few options. Styles is probably going to fall. I mean, Ritter could end up being really, really, really bad. Is there anybody? I mean, none of these relievers really look like they're going to end up being that good. I mean, I scouted all of them, and they pretty much all fell down the board. Maybe Pereira could be okay. I think I can come back around for these guys. So let's go Pereira, and then take one of the discovery guys. And okay, they're both here, so we're gonna just take a swing on Ritter. Again, he could be really bad. And now we'll go ahead and take William Styles. And now with our last pick, we could go Fernandez. He would probably be a trade piece. We do have another discovery outfielder. He does not look very good. I mean, I said it before. I really struggled this draft, and I felt like I had a decent strategy going in, but I just don't see any other options than Antonio Fernandez. So that's going to round it out. I will let you all know how we do here in early September. Don't have a ton of confidence. At least we got a good catcher at the top of the board, and maybe one or two good pitchers, but I think that's going to be about it. Two other things I want to show you before I speed through the rest of the season. Shane Baz is asking for almost the same amount that we paid McClanahan. I do think he would be a good pitcher, but this is just not a good move right now. This just doesn't make a lot of sense for us right now with how bad we are to hand out another big contract to a pitcher. He's also pitching very well, so I think that's raising his price a bit. So I might check back in going into next year when we are hopefully going to try to be at least decent. But I don't feel like this is a good move right now. And the other thing I wanted to show you is where our budget stands. So I mentioned that we were going to be making a lot of cuts with our trades, and we are back under $100 million. There's a couple guys here on ARB that might get expensive, the pitchers. So we'll see where things are next year. I'd love to try to be close to 110, 120 million at most if we're going to try to compete a little bit. And then after that, as we get into years 4, 5, and beyond, that is when, in our fictional world, the new Rays owner would come in and things will start to ramp up as we really look to become a dynasty. So just wanted to touch base on a couple other things, and see you soon. It is time to move off of probably the last two good trade pieces that we have. I mean, we're just fully tanking at this point in preparation for the long term. I hope it's not completely miserable to watch, but I promise that these moves are going to pay off big in the future. I've had a little bit of fun watching this train wreck. I'm excited to see how many games we lose. But anyway, to the matter at hand here. The last two guys that we've got who are valuable that are coming up on free agency here as we approach the trade deadline are Pete Fairbanks and Yandy Diaz. And we actually have a very good trade partner here in the Angels. So the Angels are looking for literally exactly what we have: closing pitcher and first baseman. Pete Fairbanks, of course, is the closer. And at first base, it looks like they're not super interested in Shonwell, which is interesting because I 100% am interested in him. But they have got Luke Raley here who mashes righties, and he's had a pretty good season, so I guess they don't really need Shonwell right now. And on top of that, Diaz mashes lefties. So you see he's got 98-62 for lefties, and Raley is mostly for hitting righties. So I actually think they are going to pair pretty well, and the deal favors them slightly. In the short term, they're going to get a couple pieces as they push for the playoffs, and we've got a guy who can slot in at first base for a little while, and then we've got Ben Joyce, who is very interesting. He's got super high pitching clutch, and he's got high hits per 9, low walks per 9, but he's having a great year, and he is headed up for ARB. But I think we might end up signing him for a few years as our team starts to get good and have him as a late ending kind of setup guy. He's got stopper, so I don't really want to put him in as a closer, and more of like a 6th, 7th, 8th inning guy. So anyway, this is the deal I found. I think it's the best bet and the fairest trade that makes the most sense. So let's make a deal, and that should be it for us for any trade moves for the rest of the season, unless there's something I missed. But at this point, we are 37-71, truly abysmal. The positives, though, is in our rotation, McClanahan continues to be really good, and he's continued to develop, and so he'll be here. He's going to be our guy when we're finally good, and we're thankful that he's hanging around until then. Pepio, there's a good chance I move off of him in the offseason. I think he's kind of starting to reach his ceiling, and he's not having a great year. Bradley probably will keep him around for one more year. And then Shane Baz has been really good, and I'm very interested in keeping him around, maybe for a little while, to pair with McClanahan. Boyle has been bad. He's been bad. So that's kind of our rotation. There's really not much to show in our lineup. We actually need to put Shonwell in here at first base. Other than that, the only real thing to look at here in our lineup is Junior Caminero. He, outside of his contact versus left, which, to be fair, had I'm not too mad that was a thing that went down since it was, already pretty high. He has developed in some key metrics. I'm really especially looking at the vision, the discipline, and the clutch, and also his defense has improved. He's had a good year. He still doesn't get on base really enough, but he is slugging. I think these stats are going to look better at the end of the year. He's still not a positive WAR player. So I don't think it's time yet to really look to lock him down long term. But that is really the bright spot for this team. Um, that's really all I was super interested in this year. The other thing I want to show you before we kind of speed through the rest of the season, obviously I'll show the draft picks that we just had here shortly. But in the meantime, taking a look at how our top prospects are progressing. Aaron Pyle is already up to a 70 overall. He has been good in Double A. I still think he has room to grow at this level. I think that ERA will get under 2, or sorry, under 3. Under 2 would be amazing, but under 3. But he's showing a lot of promise. Vincent Beck has been very good in a reliever role. He's pitched 84 innings with only 24 stamina. I just noticed that. Gosh, they're only halfway through their year. He might be coming in like every game. Okay. Well, good for him. He's developing very well. And I think probably two of the most promising developments. We saw Caminero, who's already in the bigs, but Carson Williams is developing very well this year in Double A. I mentioned either it was last season or early in this season that I really want his contact, vision, and discipline stats to get above 60. He's already got elite defense and good speed. But if he can get those hitting stats up above 60 and add a little bit of power, I think we've got a good shot at Carson Williams being our franchise shortstop for the foreseeable future. So that's very exciting. And then our first round draft pick last year, No Low, has also been developing very well. And we're keeping a lot of these guys down for service time reasons and playing kind of the long game here. It's a la how the Rays often do things. He has hit 17 home runs in 87 games. He's driven in 56 RBI. He's looked pretty good overall. The on-base percentage is a little low, but he was never really going to be an on-base guy. He was going to be more of a slugger. So there is some positives that we can take away from guys in our farm system. And, there's some real hope here for the near future. But as far as this year's shot, so I finished signing our draft picks, and I think we've traded all the guys we need to trade, and I think the last piece of the puzzle here is just to show you how we did on our draft picks, and then we'll sim through the rest of the season and then start working in the off season. The time has come to view our draft picks. I'm a little nervous, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off and see. Oh, my goodness. Oh my God. Graham Williamson is a generational catcher. He is, holy cow, I did not expect this at all. He is 80 overall at 18, can also play first base, but his catching defense is probably going to be good enough. It looks like rushing, we might not even have to worry about rushing. This is, oh my gosh, this is like Rookie of the Year MVP level player. I almost feel like the rest of this draft doesn't even matter. We got, okay. Well, that's exciting. Let's just check in on our other guys for fun. Rico Diaz. We'll have to see with Rico. He's a lefty. He's only 52 overall. Hits per 9 is really low. Clutch is really low. Stamina is really low. He's got good velo and break. I don't know about Diaz. We'll have to see. Ordonez, he might end up being okay. He's got 82 potential. It's low B. But I do kind of like his stats. Pereira sort of just took a swing on a reliever here. He's got high C potential. Might be okay. Ritter. Yeah, that did not end up being a very good move. Taking Ritter in hindsight. And then a couple more high C starters, Styles and Fernandez. So some good trade pieces here. Ritter's never going to see the light of day on this team. But I mean, I've probably done 40 drafts, and this is the first time I have ever gotten a generational player. And I mean, I don't think there was, maybe I just don't know, but I don't think there was any way for me to really tell. And we got him, what was it, ninth? For the ninth pick? Wow. Kershaw and Scherzer have both retired. It's pretty fun to look at these two guys' careers right next to each other. Kershaw has got the edge in ERA, but Scherzer has got the edge in strikeouts by 500. He did have some more innings, but 3,500 career strikeouts is unbelievable. Both of their win-losses were very, very good. How about Kershaw? He's got 2 saves in there. That's pretty cool. Seeing those guys side by side is exciting. So a couple of the older vets are starting to move out here during our rebuild. First move in what is going to be a very busy offseason is going to be taking advantage of exclusive free agent rights with Drew Rasmussen. This is a special relief pitcher. Not only, well, we know in real life he's an elite starter, but in this game he is an elite reliever. And among many great things about him, he has 48 stamina and fits so well in the long relief role whenever we might have some issues with the starter or just need some bulk innings. He can salvage a game for us. If you look at his stats the last 2 years, he's given us 80 innings at 3.36 ERA in 2025, and then an unbelievable 2.27 this past year. I really do not want to lose Drew Rasmussen to free agency. I'm going to give him, he was asking for 2 years at 7.1, and I want to give him 4 years at 7.3 to hopefully sweeten the pot a little bit, because if we have to go after him in free agency, I will. But I really would like him to come back and play on a Rays team that's going to get really good over these 4 years before we'll have to look to replace him. So Drew Rasmussen, fingers crossed, hopefully he signs this offer. McCann is not going to be coming back at catcher. We've got other options that we will talk about later. So hopefully Drew Rasmussen returns as a Ray. Another piece of our offseason puzzle that I haven't talked about yet in this rebuild is working on improving our coaching staff. So I left things as they are. It is kind of funny, these are the real life guys for the Rays, and we did have Kevin Cash. Their stats in this game were really bad, but while we were not very good, I did not want to move off of them. I did hire Stephen Vogt when our first base coach came up. He's expensive, but as we slowly are going to get better, I want to make our coaching staff better. So I'm not going to go after the best of the best like Dave Roberts. He is incredibly expensive, but we are going to be looking at some B or A level talent in the coaching room to guide our team to success in the coming years. The Rays finished 2026 with a record of 60-102, just a mere 38 games behind the Orioles. I knew we were going to be pretty bad. I was actually surprised that we got more than 50 wins. You can see the summary up in the top right. Our pitching was middle of the pack as well as our defense, but our offense is as bad as it gets, which makes sense looking at that lineup. And as far as the wild card, we were not even close. We were the second worst team, only ahead of the White Sox. And with our 60 wins, well, looks like we were the second worst team. We were even worse than the Rockies, which this is going to give us a good chance at a great draft pick. So hopefully we're going to try a little bit next season to at least be decent. We'll get that good draft pick, and then from there on out, it's dynasty time. Let's take a look at some things that happened around the league. Marcell Ozuna has won the MVP. Wow, he had 56 home runs. Oh my goodness. How about that? How about that? Kyle Tucker, who is on the Mariners, came in second. Cy Young is Garrett Cole, dethroning Tarek Skubal, who did finish third this time. And then Pablo Lopez was in second. Batting title is for Kyle Tucker. Reliever of the year, tight race. You could argue that Cade Smith was better than Lucas Erceg, who has now won back-to-back relievers of the year. And the rookie of the year is going to be Louis Welburn, who actually regressed. It looks like the Twins picked this guy in the first year of our rebuild, and he might have already hit his ceiling. However, he is going to be, he's always going to have the rookie of the year to hang that plaque on his wall. So, good for Louis. Kyle Tucker won the Hank Aaron Award in the AL. Let's go back here and look at some NL just for fun. MVP of the NL was Pete Alonso, who had 126 RBIs. Cy Young is Zach Wheeler. A great season for Wheeler. He is regressing. How much longer does he have? One more year. How about that? So Cy Young for Zach Wheeler. Batting title is Bryce Harper. Tight race here. Brian Reynolds and Seiya Suzuki right behind him. Reliever of the year is Jojo Romero. He becomes a free agent. That's interesting. And rookie of the year is Jeremy De La Rosa, who's a 69 overall center fielder. Yeah, I think we're going to have a pretty good shot at a rookie of the year. Who knows what else is going around the league, but based on what I saw here with these rookies of the year, our generational catcher that we just drafted is probably going to be a front runner for rookie of the year. Unfortunately, Drew Rasmussen did not accept our not our qualifying offer, but our exclusive free agent offer. I even sweetened the pot a little bit from what I showed you, and he still did not accept it. So he's going to be our first target in free agency. And I really want him. We're almost certainly going to have to overpay for him because of that. I will update with the future pieces that we're going to be wanting, but right away, I mean, immediately, day one, we are going to be going back after Drew Rasmussen, and we'll see what other moves we end up making. The next move we are going to make is moving Aranda and Jones to the Guardians for Hunter Gaddis. They are looking for a second baseman and a right fielder, and I have got exactly that I want to move off of. And the reason is Jones, I don't ever see him really playing in right field, as we have Nalo, and we also have another year of Josh Lowe, who is probably going to be a trade piece, and then we also have Condon coming up behind him. And Brock Jones has room to grow. I don't think he's an elite player necessarily, but he will be very cheap for the Guardians, and I think he'll fit in pretty well. And then Aranda, I just don't see him being a piece of the puzzle for a long time going forward. He's up for arbitration. I do think he's going to continue to get better. He's going to hit righties well, and he's versatile in the infield. But unfortunately, in this game, unlike real life, I don't see his skills really coming through. And the Guardians, who are well known for their pitching factory, have Hunter Gaddis, who is up for arbitration as well. I believe this will be his first year of arbitration, and he has been excellent. And I think if we can get Rasmussen back and pair him with Gaddis, we are going to have a really good 1-2 punch in the bullpen, along with some of the other guys that we're going to bring back and we already have. So this feels like a good move for us. I do feel like we're going to win this deal, even though the bar up at the top says otherwise. But this is going to be our first move So, Guardians sounds like a good deal. Fair enough. I spent a very long time looking for a trade that makes sense because we need to move off of a catcher. And this next year, obviously, we've got our generational talent in Graham Williamson, who could even be playing in this next year. He's probably going to dominate AAA. I don't want to use his service time too early, so maybe it'll be another year. We're definitely going to be going with Dalton Rushing this year. He's going to be coming up. His potential did go down. I don't know what it is with these catchers. Um, I must be doing something wrong because that's twice now that I've had these guys. Either it's bad luck or I'm not doing something right. But either way, Dalton Rushing is going to play this year, and Rortvedt is probably going to be our backup unless Williamson comes up. So I need to move off of some of these guys, and Driscoll is probably not going to play for us. He is an elite defensive catcher. He is probably not going to get a whole lot better, but he is what he is here. He's going to provide value with his defense. And I am concerned that we don't want to spend too much money on starters next year because we're going to be better, but we're not going to be great. And we are going to need a 5-starter because Joe Boyle was just awful. And I want to keep him and just let him cook in the organization a little bit. We haven't used a single one of his options, so we can mess around bringing him up and down. But I need somebody to come in that 5 spot. And Emerson Hancock is not a out of this world option, but I do think he's going to be better than he's shown. I like his stats mostly, and he's going to be really cheap for us. This feels like very much a Rays move. These kind of moves are probably going to change as we advance in this rebuild. And so the Angels want a catcher, and to sweeten the pot here, I have put in a fairly promising pitching prospect. He is this is Nick Bitsko. He can replace Hancock for them. I think he'll be a similar pitcher, and they can also get him for even cheaper than we're going to get Hancock for. Long story short, I think this is the best I can do. I need to make this kind of move, and so this is what we're going to do, and hopefully that works out okay for both sides. Decision time. Uh-oh. Rasmussen not happy with 4 years, $7 million. Probably going to keep making him the same offer until he accepts it. But I am willing to go up a little higher. Don't tell him that. Here we go again. Got him. I offered him a little less. 4 years, $6 million. Really like this. This is going to be a steal for Rasmussen. He's going to be a great reliever. He's still going to continue to develop. He will be in the bullpen if anything goes wrong with our starters and we need bulk innings. I think this is a steal. I offered arbitration to a lot of guys. It's could be a little pricey, but I was not in a position to move off of anyone just yet. There's a couple guys I let walk. We made some trades earlier that were some guys that were headed towards ARB. But I just did not see any better options than trying to bring Pepio back for 11 or 12 million. I didn't see any better options in free agency. We still have team control with him. I think Pepio is most likely the guy I'm going to move off of at some point in this season. But we need a little bit more time for some of our prospects to develop. We are going to try to compete somewhat this year. Going to try to go for a wild card spot. Bradley also was offered ARB. I went for it. I offered Shane Baz, 3 years, $18 million. I think he's gonna get better. I think he's gonna continue to give us solid innings. And last year 178 innings with just over a 3 ERA, and he hasn't reached his maximum potential, I believe. So we need more time for some other potential guys to develop. But either way, Baz is a great piece of this rotation, and we're going to be competitive, especially in 28 and 29, I would think. I think that's, besides Rasmussen, we saw Rasmussen. I did offer Hunter Gaddis. I offered him arbitration, but I also offered him 2 years at 3.6 because I think he's going to continue to do really well and get more expensive than that. And we still have 1 more year of team control after that, so we can decide what we want to do from there. I think that's mostly it. I've talked before, probably going to move off of Josh Lowe this year. We've got Lowe, our prospect, coming up, who's going to take his place. He just needs to develop a little bit more, and I don't want to kill his service time just yet. That's just a update about halfway through the offseason. Well, after our abysmal season last season, we've got a pretty good shot at getting the first draft pick, and that would be great. Either way, I hope we stay in the top 2 or 3 would be nice. And we dropped to 4. Oh, God. The Nationals went up 10. The Guardians went up 7. Holy cow. That is really unlucky. I thought about super low balling Gratterall. We got him up to 91%. I kept him on our big board for a while, but it won't let me go any lower than $5 million per year. And I do have confidence in a few of our bullpen arms already. I don't want to get too deep into this contract just yet. I don't want to spend too much money, so I am not going to offer him at the end of the day, and he's going back to the Dodgers. The arbitration hearings are complete, and I feel like we only won a couple of the guys that I won arbitration for. Our total payroll is at $126 million this year. Pepio got 12.3. Bradley got 8.1. Morel got 5.5. Caballero got almost 4. DeLuca got 3.6. Palacios got 3.6. Clevenger got 3.2. Rorpick got 3.1. A couple other guys in here. I feel like we may be overpaying for a few of these guys, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. And it depends on how things go next year. I think most likely we might move off of Palacios if Christopher Morel continues to develop. He developed well last year. So if he continues to develop, we might keep him out in left field, or we could DH him and move off of Palacios. Depending on how some of the guys in AAA do, we may move off of a reliever. We got team control left on some of these guys, so we'll see what happens. $126 million is our number right now. I don't think that's going to change anymore as we head into spring training. Overall, I would say a fairly successful offseason. I will update you as we get through spring training and just before we head into 2027. The offseason is done. I spent a lot of time off camera, get everything ready. I won't spend too much time wrapping up here. Just serve as a little bit of an outro and entice you for the next season because we're ranked 23rd, but I think there's a good chance that we're going to beat that ranking. Unlike we in year 1 when I think we were 24th and we came in right around there. We've got some exciting prospects that could get called up. We've got a couple rookies who have been called up. And I think we're going to have a really strong pitching staff. So the goal is going to be to fight for a wild card spot. And if we're close around the trade deadline, we might look to make a move. And next year's draft is going to be exciting. We've got a pretty high pick. So look forward to seeing you shortly for Season 3 of the Tampa Bay Rays franchise rebuild.